remember what you read all the time in your textbooks?
I know one.
Okay, yeah, I have the same problem sometimes. So what I'm going to teach you today is a strategy to help you remember, help you understand and comprehend what you're reading and be cognizant of what you're reading. So this is a before reading strategy called possible sentences. We're going to use this with an article about metals. So we're going to learn something about chemistry at the same time learn a new strategy that's going to help you in the future with your text reading and your informative text reading. All right, so let's get started. So what is the strategy possible sentences? This is a before reading strategy that introduces new vocabulary and key terms before reading the content. And this is going to help you in the understanding of the content and enhances your reading comprehension. You're going to see that you will recognize the vocabulary terms that I'm going to give you. So why we're going to use this strategy is because it activates your prior knowledge about the concepts and the vocabulary terms. The vocabulary terms are going to help you activate the knowledge that you already have. Okay? And this is going to warm up our thinking for before reading and before writing. So this strategy also will get us involved in a conversation and discussion about the text. And from the title, you can already predict, which I'm going to give you the title, will already predict you'll be able to predict what the text is about. And it's going to prepare you to read, understand, and respond to the text. So how do we use possible sentences? Well, I'm going to give you a list of key terms and vocabulary, and then you're going to write a sentence in the chart that you believe would be in the text. And that's the important part, is it needs to sound like it would be a sentence found in a text, in an article, a journal, a textbook. So this sentence is going to be based on your prior knowledge. So the next thing we're going to do is discuss the sentences in class, discuss your before reading sentences. And then we're going to read the text. Okay? And then after reading the text, you're going to write a new sentence based on the new knowledge that you've received by reading the text. And then we'll discuss those new sentences. Okay? So now I'm going to tell you about the text. Okay? This text is called Metals in Sickness and in Health. And this is an article from Inside Life Science. And this article will connect key concepts that you've already learned in chemistry and other life sciences. Maybe you've taken an anatomy and physiology. So I think that you're going to appreciate what is in this article and the information that you're going to learn. So this relates metals that are in our human body and the processes that they go through in our human body, the metabolism of these metals. So this article, I think that it is interesting because it brings up some of the current scientific research about ALS, epilepsy, and other diseases that are caused by an imbalance in metals. All right, any questions so far? Okay, so this is an example of the possible sentences chart. I'm going to pass it out to you right now. And so looking at your chart, you can see that I have some vocabulary terms listed for you. And there's a place for before reading sentences and after reading sentences, okay? Yeah, pretty simple, right? Pretty self-explanatory. So here are your new vocabulary and key terms we're going to focus on today, there are more, but this is good for one reading, right? So we have iron, zinc, copper, hippocampus, chaperone. That sounds a little funny, right? But you're going to read and find out that it's got a different meaning. And amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. Okay? Do any of those terms sound familiar to you?
Yes.
Right. We've seen those in our chemistry books and maybe in a biology book.
On the periodic table.
And here's the periodic table right here. So I just wanted to show you that we have iron, copper, and zinc. Where are they listed in the periodic table? These are transition metals, right? Right? Does it ring a bell? It's coming back. So we see there's lots of other elements and metals that are in our body, like sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium. I just wanted to give you a visual representation of, all the elements and all the metals, and just so you can see it. Okay? All right, so that was iron, copper, and zinc. Is there anything else you know about iron, copper, and zinc?
Besides it being in our bodies,
Yes.
them being a metal. Oh, I know that we need it.
We need it, yes.
We need it.
So whatever you know about that right now, you're gonna remember. You're gonna dig it up and you're gonna write it in your before reading sentences. Not yet though. We're gonna go over the rest of the vocabulary terms. Okay, hippocampus as part of the brain, right? Obviously. I'm not going to tell you what it does because you're going to find out in your text if you don't already know. But what does this picture jog your memory? That's a clue. All right? All right, so ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, I think you've all heard of that. It's a very sad disease. It's a neurodegenerative disease where the motor neurons slowly deteriorate. The motor neurons are nerve cells, right? And they can no longer send messages from the brain to the muscles. And supposedly this is inherited in 5 to 10% of people. I did not know this.
Oh my God.
But this is off the Mayo Clinic information. And the general life expectancy after diagnosis is 3 to 5 years. And that information is from alsa.org. Some people live longer, some people don't. So that's just the general consensus is 3 to 5 years. All right, so I'm going to give you a sample before reading sentence. So I'm going to use the word zinc. And zinc is a transition metal, like we saw, and it is an important nutrient in the body that the body uses to boost the immune system. So that's what I knew about zinc before reading this article. Okay? All right, so I am going to let you write your before reading sentences about the vocabulary terms. Okay, so has everyone done writing their before reading sentences?
Yes, Miss Beach.
Okay, so Katie, can you please use one of your vocabulary words and tell me what is your before reading sentence?
The hippocampus is part of the brain located near the brainstem.
Okay, the hippocampus is part of the brain located near the brainstem. That to me sounds like it would be in a textbook. And that's what you know about it, right?
Yep.
Okay, very good. All right, Allison, can you share your before reading sentence?
Copper is a good conductor of electricity, but I'm not sure what it is used for in the body.
Okay, that's a start. Copper is a good conductor of electricity, but I'm not sure what it's used for in the body. That's a good sentence, but remember, we don't want it to be in first person. We want it to sound like it's in a textbook. So just take a second to think about how you would rephrase that sentence.
Not only is copper a good conductor of electricity, but it's also necessary for some bodily functions.
Much better. That sounds good. Not only is copper a good conductor of electricity, it is also necessary for some bodily functions. That sounds good. All right, so does anyone have any questions about the exercise that we just did? Okay, so you get that the before reading sentence needs to be based on your prior knowledge, and it needs to sound like it's in a textbook. Okay, all right, let's move on to, we're gonna read the text. I'm gonna give you a break, let you read the text, and you're gonna write your own after reading sentence. So this sentence is gonna use the new knowledge that you learned from reading the text. But first, I'm gonna show you a sample of my after reading sentence. And this is, remember I used my before reading sentence was on zinc. So this is zinc after I read. So zinc is not only an essential nutrient for the body's immune system, it also helps regulate the communication between cells in the hippocampus and is important for memory function. Okay, so do you see how I expanded on my initial sentence because my knowledge about the subject expanded, right?
Right.
So that's what I want you to think about. I want you to read, and you know the vocabulary terms, you know the key terms, you have them right there in front of you. I want you to be cognizant of those terms while you're reading, and I want you to read and think about those terms, and that's going to help you better comprehend the text and remember, okay?
Okay.
And let me pass out the text to you. There you go. All right, so how is everyone doing? Did you get your after reading sentences? Everyone's done?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's say, Allison, can you share your after reading sentence?
Copper is chaperoned by certain proteins to get to where they are needed in the body.
That's very good. Copper is chaperoned, so you use two vocabulary words. Can you repeat your sentence?
Copper is chaperoned by certain proteins to get to where they are needed in the body.
Very good. Copper is chaperoned by certain proteins to get to where they are needed in the body. That sounds like you learned new information. Good. All right, Katie, would you like to share yours?
Yes. The hippocampus is part of the brain located near the brainstem and is the brain center for learning and memory.
Very good. The hippocampus is located near the brainstem and is part of learning and memory. All right, so does anyone have any questions about this process and after reading sentences? Okay, all right, so next we're gonna go through a little bit of a review. I'm just gonna go through the process one more time so that then we'll talk about these questions. So the first thing we do is new vocabulary is introduced. The new terms are introduced, and that activates our prior knowledge about those terms. It gets our brain warmed up for thinking and writing and reading. The next thing we do is we use that prior knowledge to write new sentences, or before reading sentences. And then we read, taking note of those vocabulary terms, remembering those vocabulary terms, looking for them in the text, and looking for new information about them. And then we write our after reading sentences, which share that new information that we've learned. Okay? All right, so why do you think it is important that we review the vocabulary words before writing the before reading sentences?
So that when we read the text, we see a word that we weren't familiar with before, but now we know it, the sentence will make more sense to us.
That's right. That's right. And what else does the looking at the vocabulary do? What does it do to your brain?
It allows us to identify context clues in the sentence.
That's true too. Context clues. And it also activates prior knowledge, right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. You're asked to write a before sentence that you believe would be included in the text. Why not write just any old sentence?
Because we're trying to connect, we're trying to predict we're trying to use prior knowledge to predict what we're going to read, or help us better understand what we're going to read in the text.
That's right. That's right. Exactly. We're trying to take our prior knowledge and predict and apply it as we're reading. So writing that sentence with our prior knowledge helps activate it more and get our brain ready to read. It puts us in the right place to do the informative text, to read the informative text. So what part of this comprehension strategy did you find most helpful for retaining the new information you read?
Having the prior knowledge in a sentence kind of helps me to know what I'm looking for when I read the text, and so knowing what I'm looking for, when I see it, I recognize it, and it sticks in my head better.
Good. So it helps you recognize the words in the text. It helps you look for them and be cognizant of them, right? So was there anything in this strategy that you did not find helpful?
No.
Okay. Well, I'm going to do my evaluation of using possible sentences. Some things I thought of. Some positives were it builds on prior knowledge and it enhances your vocabulary. Like you already knew those words, most of them, but now you know them even deeper. You have a deeper meaning of those words. So it also helps you question and predict. It increases your reading comprehension, increases your writing skills, because you expanded your sentences, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your before reading sentences were not as elaborate as your after reading sentences. So, and all in all, the before reading process warms up your thought process. So, some of the two negatives I thought of, maybe there's more. This method takes time, and if you don't have prior knowledge of the subject, any prior knowledge, it would be hard. It would take a lot longer. So I just wanted to introduce this strategy to you all within our content area so that you can use it in other content areas. Use it throughout your life. There's many other reading comprehension strategies out there. I encourage you to learn as many as you can and use them because you're going to be reading informative text throughout your life. Thank you, class.
Thank you.
Thank you.